Greetings, Zimbabwe, Africa, and the world. Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor, brought to you by Titan Law. I go beyond the headlines and beyond the sensational. Today, I'm in conversation with Jestina Mukoko, the National Director of the Zimbabwe Peace Project. This is a painful and inspirational conversation. Jestina Mukoko, delighted that I've finally pinned you down. You've been running away from me. Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor.
Thank you very much, Trevor, and I'm also very delighted to be here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, Jestina, you, as I was saying off air, you're one of my heroes. And, you know, when I look at you, a couple of things happen. You remind me of the brutality of ZANU-PF, the inhumanity of ZANU-PF, and the extent that ZANU-PF and the Robert Mugabe government could go to the extents to intimidate you, harass you, torture you. Yours is an amazing story. But also you remind me of amazing strength of the human spirit. Your courage inspires me so much. And I'm hoping through this conversation for us, I know it might get painful at moments, that we delve into what you went through. Have you fully recovered from what you went through?
When you go through this, Trevor, you don't fully recover. You do not regain your former self. You are wounded for life. You are able, through therapy, to get healing here and there. But there are times when December 3 arrives, I go back to that day when I was howled out of the house. And that also eats into me. So you don't fully recover.
And you've gone through therapy and that kind of stuff. We will get into those issues. But let's go back to December 3, 2008. You were abducted, then detained for quite some time. You were tortured for an extended period of time. What crime had you allegedly committed?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's the work that I do. I work for the Zimbabwe Peace Project, and we monitor and document human rights violations. And what we do, we emphasize who did what to whom, when, and how. And we name and shame perpetrators. And I believe that was my crime. Being able to document things as they happened. I think a lot of people feared that probably justice will catch up with them in terms of the work that I was doing.
And take us through, so you get abducted.
Yes.
In front of your 17-year-old son.
Yes.
And he witnesses all this stuff. And you get detained for some time. Briefly walk us through, you're abducted, you're actually in your night dress.
Yes.
And then taken to various places. Walk us through what to you the painful moments, the highlights of this horrendous ordeal that you went through.
It's a dawn And my son knocks and says, Mama, there are visitors at the gate. Around 5 a.m. And I'm like, who comes and visits you at 5 a.m.? My vacation was actually supposed to start on that day. So I said to him, you guys go and deal with the visitors. In no time, he was back. And he says, Mama, the people at the gate are actually police officers. And what struck me at that time, I just thought that probably a neighbor had been robbed and the police wanted to know if I had seen or heard anything. So I quickly grabbed a dressing gown and walked barefoot. I didn't even have my glasses. And I thought I would just be, because I knew I had not committed a crime. And I was confronted by these huge men. There were 6 of them, 5 men and 1 woman. So as I am approaching the kitchen, they come and the one holds my right hand and the other my left hand. That was after I had confirmed that I'm Jestina Mukoko. I then said, can you give me time to dress? They said they did not have time. And there I was force marched out of the house. It wasn't just my 17-year-old son. I also had a 6-year-old nephew I was staying with at the time. And they also and my 2 helpers, the one outside and also the one in the house. And they were shouting as we were walking out to say, we just want you to look at a file that we have got in the car. And once you tell us what we want to know, we can leave you. But why are you holding my hands with so much strength? And when we got to the gate, it was an unmarked car, a silver Mazda Familia, and I was bundled in the back. There was another man who was sitting to the right as I got in, and then the other one who followed immediately after me. And I was told to have my head on the lap of the man on the right. I'm not sure when he last had a bath. But as I was taking my head down, I noticed that there was a rifle on the floor. Immediately it hit me that this was no ordinary arrest. I actually knew it was no arrest. And there and then I noticed that music went up. They hardly spoke. It was through their eyes. And I also sensed that there were other vehicles because 5 men and 1 woman came into the house. And there was only 4 of them in this vehicle. So the others must have gone to another vehicle or other vehicles that they had. And we drove from Norton at high speed with this music blating out. And that's when my thoughts were going round. I was not dressed. And I did not know these people. And what was going through my mind, I was thinking it was either CIO or ZANU-PF militia, because those are the ones that we dealt with at my workplace in terms of people being abducted and people being tortured. And I started to think, but what had I done of late? The day before, I had presented a statement at a function of the Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe. And probably I was thinking, is it something that I said there or what? You know, you begin
your
to
mind
think.
is running.
Yes. And it was, I think after about 20 minutes of driving, the woman then says, what time are we getting to Mutare? I think they wanted to disorient me. And then about 10 minutes after that, they passed signs with their eyes. And the man on the right then picked a woolen item from the floor and he covered my face, even covered my nose and my mouth, and I complained that I couldn't breathe. He then lifted it a bit. And within a few minutes, the car came to a stop. That music had stopped. But at this house, there was also music blating out. And I was wondering where I was. They took me into a corner room. It looked like a pantry because it had these shelves. And I was asked to sit down, and the woolen item was removed, and they changed that with a dirty mutton cloth. And I was left there, and the door was locked. Within a few hours, my ordeal had started. I think there were 5 or 6 of them who came, and when the blindfold had been removed, I started being questioned about my relationship with the MDCT. I had no relationship with the MDCT. They made reference to a trip that we had made as ZPP staff to Botswana. And I was told that that's when you went and left some people who were being trained in Botswana, and that was all lies. And it seems that I had actually been followed all that long, because I had one staff member who used an emergency document, and that was spoken about there as well. And then they asked me about someone within the MDC, who I said I did not know, and that's when my torture started. There were these 2 men. One was tall and the other one was a short guy. And they had these 2 truncheons. One was a horse kind of a thing, and the other one seemed to have been, it had wire on it. And I was told to stretch my legs, and they were beating the soles of my feet. Every time I said what they did not want, I would get a beating. And this went on for the entire day, because they were saying I was recruiting for the MDCT, and then having young people being sent to Botswana, where they would then come back to commit acts of sabotage and terrorism to remove a constitutionally elected government. My doctor asked my son, "Do you think your mother is capable of this?" She said, he laughed his heart out and said, "They don't know what they are talking about." And so for an entire day, until it got quite dark. At that time, I actually thought that I would see my feet, blood splashing out of the soles of my feet onto the walls, because the pain I was feeling in the feet.
So how long did this, so December 3, and how long did this torture, dehumanization, how long did it last?
There would just be breaks for food. And initially in the morning when I got there, I told myself I was not going to eat. So I told them I had a stomach bug, so I didn't want to eat. But after going through the initial, I think probably it was from about 9 a.m. to about 12 or 1, because that's when the lunch came, I had no energy. And initially I thought I was going to, initially I screamed. But I then told myself, screaming will give these guys satisfaction. I am not going to scream. So I would really keep the pain inside. And it was when they would go out that, you know, the lump in the throat would then give in to me getting emotional. And when lunch came, because I had no energy at all, I took it and had a bit of sadza. It was served with cabbage on that first day. And immediately after I finished, they came back, and the beating went on. There was a desk in the room, this height. I was sitting on the floor, and at one time I was asked to raise my feet on that desk. And what they had done was, I think they had come to Mpedzanamo or something to get a dress, because I think they noticed that I was in my night clothes and all. So I was given a dress. Initially I said I didn't want, and the woman who came said, if you know what's good for you, you need to put this on. And then she spoke something about the toilet, because she also had plastic shoes. So I had to put on those plastic shoes. So I was told to remove the plastic shoes. And I was like, you have just asked me to put them on. So I would raise my feet.
For them to
And you
pick it.
know the indignity of your dress then
Coming down.
and the beating going on. And you know, these were men who were strong, applying all their power on the soles of my feet. And they continued to say, well, you are going to speak. But I had nothing else to tell them. The people that they were asking me about, I did not even know them. And at one time they said, who do you know at MDCT? And I said, I know the people that you probably know, because they're always in the news. That's how I know them.
Meanwhile, what's going through your mind?
What's going through my mind is my family can no longer account for me. They don't know where I am. And at that stage, I was worried, will my son be able to relay this message to people, to say my mother has been abducted? What I had also done, because remember 2008 was the election year, there was a time when we thought we were at risk as human rights defenders. And at times I wouldn't go and put up at home. I would put up with friends, just trying to disguise where I would be. And that was the time when I told him that if anything were to happen to me, these are the people that you call. And I'm told the first phone call that he made was at 5:15 in the morning to say that some people came and they took my mother away. I don't know where they took her. And that's when the message started moving around.
So like I say, this is December 3, 2008. This lasted what, 6 months, 9 months? You're being held, your abduction?
They held me in Communicado, where people did not know where I was, for 21 days.
21 days.
Which was 3 weeks. And at that stage, I actually remember my lawyer saying, I went to court, but I thought they had done a tondera indira on you. Even my family thought I had died. Because when you begin to look for someone, the first hour, the first day, the second day, the week
21 days.
The week is up, the second week is up.
The third week.
And you are in the third week. You actually do not think that that person would be alive.
I read in your book, which you have written to share your deal, that you start singing church songs.
Yes.
Songs that you remember your mother singing. Talk to me about that loneliness and the pain and the horror.
Being kept in solitary confinement can actually drive you mad, because you begin to hear voices that are not there. For some reason, I found, the Gideon New Testament Bibles.
Yeah.
I don't know who had left it there. I would pick verses from there, Psalm 23 and all. But at the end of the day, I thought the person that I really needed to be strong were my son and my mother. And what I knew was that if my mother was happy, there were songs that she sang. If she was sad, there were songs that she sang. And somehow when I didn't know the word, all of the words, so I would hum them. But somehow they brought me close to my mother, and I kept on praying for her strength through all this. My sister passed away in 2003, and we were only 2 girls. And I was thinking to myself, if these guys are going to kill me, it means that her girls are done. So I needed somehow to strengthen her remotely. And somehow every time I sang these songs, they brought me close to my mother.
You know, I say you are my hero because I cannot imagine myself being able to survive your ordeal as outlined in your book for 21 days. Did you at any moment feel, let me tell them what they want to hear? Did you feel you ought to give up at some point? Talk to me about that.
I had nothing to tell them. I had nothing to tell them, and they wanted a confession. There was one day I was taken to, I believe it's a house on Enterprise Road. I always get goosebumps when I pass that house. They have recently done the wall outside with red bricks, but it used to have panels. Every time I look at that house, I actually think that was the second interrogation center that they took me to. In the way that that house always remains closed up, it also just speaks to my suspicion.
So they wanted you to make a confession.
They wanted me to make a confession.
Did they tell you what confession they wanted from you?
They wanted me to confess that I was working with the MDCT to recruit for them and send young people to Botswana. But there was no place in Botswana where people were being trained. I had the rare opportunity of meeting someone from Botswana Foreign Affairs, who, when he was introduced to me, he said, I can't believe this is the young woman who made us run around in 2008. I said, run around for what? He said, we had to clear our name to demonstrate to Zimbabwe that there was no training camp in Botswana. He said at the last moment, the people who were supposed to come from Harare to join them on this trip, for some reason, they did not make the trip. I think they knew that there was no camp in Botswana. So I think they wanted me to say I was being sent by the late Morgan Changirai to recruit young people to go to Botswana for the training. But I was not involved in any of that.
Do you now know who the people that tortured you are?
I know people who were in the second detention center. There is, I think he's retired now, Asha Tafumane. I think he deals with war veterans. And then there was also, I think it's Simon, I can't remember his second name, but he was head of CID at the time. And he's the one who wanted to use a bamboo stick at the second interrogation center to beat me up. And the others then said, no, you can't do that. And then he stopped because he was very angry that the guys at the other detentions
were not beating you enough.
Were not those were his words, that you are treating him with kid gloves.
Have you met any of these people after being released?
I met this Simon
guy?
This Simon guy at the airport.
And?
We came together from Cape Town, and I kept on looking at him, and I knew the face. So I was with Tabani Mpofu, who's now in the president's office.
Oh, right, yes.
And I asked him, who is that?
Yeah.
And he told me he's head of CID. And he immediately moved away from where we were and got to the other side of the room. My friends kept on saying, why didn't you greet him? But Beatrice said, I think you did the right thing to just look at him at a distance. Yeah.
You mentioned in your book Maverick and Broderick. Were those fellow prisoners, or they were part of the team that was beating you up?
Broderick Takawira was the other staffer from ZPP, was also abducted.
Ah, right.
After a week, they abducted 2 staff members from ZPP, Broderick Takawira and Pascal Gonzo. The Mararike guy, I'm not even sure if it was his real name, but that's what they called him. I don't think they were using their real names. Yeah.
And you said, you know, when we started, when something like this happens to you, you can never be the same again. You have undergone therapy, am I right?
I have, Trevor.
Yeah.
It has been drawn out several years. But every time, you know, December 3 comes, and even when I started working on the book, it wasn't easy. Because at times I would sit there, and as I'm writing, I could actually, you know, hear these people breathing. There was a time when I was in New York. I woke up all sweaty, and I then looked around and got the relief that I was far away from Zimbabwe, because I had a dream that I was being abducted again. And so initially people thought I had gone through the first phase of therapy and I was okay. I wasn't. I couldn't sleep. I was on sleeping tablets, but I think they were not working anymore. Because I would take a tablet, by 1 a.m., I would be wide awake. I could actually hear dogs, cats moving around. And maybe I would then fall asleep, maybe 5 o'clock, when people are now going to wake up. Or on going to 5, I would have these palpitations, thinking that those people would be back again. So I was fortunate enough to get people who funded my therapy. I went to South Africa at the Denmark clinic, which is where my son also got therapy.
So your son also got therapy?
Yes, my son also got therapy. But still, for that one, I actually got treatment for 6 months. They put me on medication for 6 months. And on the first day that I woke up at 9, my son literally jumped up and down and said, I can't believe that you can actually sleep. I had turned into a zombie, Trevor. I no longer knew I was a mother. I would just sleep there. And after I started taking that medication, I remember there was one time, it was just the 2 of us in South Africa, and I went all out to make a special meal for us. And I had not done that in a long time.
Wow.
You know, just, I think to my son, it was his mother coming back. It was a very difficult time. You know, you hear someone turning the key, and if anyone just forgot to lock the door, I got so irritable. And you know, one time my brother then said, it's not they're also human, they will forget.
Yeah. Tell me, they are also human, they will forget. What goes through your mind when you think of the Simon guy and so forth? Have you forgiven them? What's your state of mind?
I think when I went through my last sessions of therapy with this amazing woman named Val, I started to realize my life needed to go on. Because somehow I felt that by holding on to the anger and the anger and the pain was not going to the people where it was supposed. It was eating me up. So I recognized I needed
to let go.
And having been raised as a Christian, I thought, well, I can't even talk about revenge. Because I think initially when I came out,
that's what
I was thinking that they needed to be in front of a firing squad. That's how I felt. But with time, all those things have changed. And well, I have gone on with my life, but that dent will never be removed.
Forgiven, but not forgotten.
Yeah. Their names will always be etched there. And I think the most painful part is also that there isn't this culture of people then acknowledging what they have done. It could make a difference. Because all these guys, they were protected by a certificate that was issued by then Minister of State Security.
Wow.
So they were not identified.
To think, Jestina, that as we're sitting here having this conversation, and as the world is watching this conversation, the men and women who tortured you are walking the streets of Harare.
They are still out there, probably
doing the same thing
and torturing other people.
Wow. Then the Supreme Court in 2009, a full bench, found you not guilty of the charges that these guys were bringing against you, and dropped all charges against you. So you were found innocent after having gone through what you went through. What went through your mind when the Supreme Court pronounced that verdict?
You know, when I got the call from Harrison Como to tell me that the judgment was going to be delivered, this was 3 months down the line, I thought, but why have they done it so quickly? Because Mrs. Mtetwa had told me that it might take 2 or 3 years before they deliver a judgment. So that's what I was thinking. And now this was just 3 months, and they were ready to deliver the judgment. And what was going through my mind was, I think probably the state might have won in this. And when I went to court on that day, you know, it didn't even take long for them to deliver the judgment, that they had unanimously agreed that my rights had been violated, and therefore they were agreeing that there be a stay of criminal prosecution. I just saw tears rolling down and felt vindicated, but at the same time also thinking about how I had been bruised and how my entire family had been bruised. Being termed a Class D prisoner and staying at Chikurubi Maximum Security Prison for 68 days was no mean feat. You know, when you go out, you are in leg irons, you are in handcuffs.
Humiliation, dehumanization.
You know, the first day that I went into court like that, my son was sitting in the first row with my brothers. I felt I had disappointed him as the only surviving parent. And that took a very long time for me to remove it from my head. It was only my therapist who said, it seems there is something that continues to draw you back. What is it? So I spoke about this. And she said, why don't you speak to your son about it? It took a long time.
And you did.
For me to get that courage. He loves crime and investigation. So we were watching together, and this person was handcuffed. And I thought that was my opportunity to ask. I then said, Takudzwa, how did you feel when you saw me the first time in handcuffs and also leg irons? Did you know I was in leg irons? Said, how could I miss you in leg irons when the chains were going clink on the wooden floor? But he started welling in his eyes, and he said, I was not disappointed at all, Mommy. I actually thought, there is my mother representing. You know, I felt relief. And that has also helped in terms
healing.
of my healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did your son teach you during this moment, the way he reacted and responded to your ordeal?
He taught me that a child can actually be very mature. He would have Bible verses done in small pieces of paper, and he would strike relationships with the prison wardens and just put in their hands and
Wow.
say, go and give that to my mother.
Wow.
So every day he came, I knew he would be sending that. And the fact that he was courageous to take the phone and call people and let them know that my mother has been abducted.
He's 30 years old
He's
now.
30 now.
How is he doing?
I always think about this and say, people wounded my son. Because at that time, because I was always in the news, automatically he became a celebrity,
Right.
especially with girls. And that kind of disturbed him even at school. And I always think if this had not happened, no, because he doesn't use my surname, no one really would have known that he is my son. So that as well has had a dent on him. Yeah. And I blame all this for him to have been affected that way.
The writing of the book, was it a process towards closure? Painful? How was it like?
When the thoughts about putting this on paper came to me, initially I thought I would just get a ghostwriter to do it. But when I reviewed the work later on, I recognized that my soul was missing from it. And my therapist continued to encourage to say it will be a process in terms of your healing. At times I would probably just punch in maybe 150 words and I would not be able to carry on. But at the end of the day, I was able to finalize it. And I always wanted to tell my own story. I did not want it to be told by anyone else. So when I finished this book, I thought even if I died, my story is recorded and it will be told in my own words and what I experienced. And indeed, it was therapeutic going through writing the book. But there was one of the therapists who said, you also need to be careful in terms of the people that you want to bring close to contribute to the book. Maybe your family is not even ready to go back to those years. I remember one time asking my son, do you remember the name of that other brown dog that we had? And he was like, why do you need that name? And I recognized the therapist was right. He did not want to go back to go there. But those dogs were very important to me because on that particular day, I don't know how I missed it, that if anyone was at the gate, they would come to my bedroom.
And they did.
And they would bark But on that particular day, they did not, because the helper outside had been greased. So he had taken the dogs and put them in earlier than usual, so that when these guys came, they would not come and bark at my window. Yeah, they had greased his hands.
So clearly they had done some work around the people right around you.
I was actually told that for 2 weeks they had been going around the house.
I know your eyesight is problematic. Is there any part in this book that you would want me to read?
I think the very first part,
The very first part.
which speaks to me getting into court.
So this is chapter 1, the prologue, page 2. I trudge into courtroom 6. It is 15 January 2009, and this is my 4th court appearance since Christmas Eve 2008. The trial was supposed to start at 11:15, but the prosecution team was more than an hour late. My 3 brothers, with their trademark bald heads, and my son, Takudzwa, lined up in the first row, all wearing silent faces. I avoid looking my son in the eye. Somehow, I feel I failed him as a mother. This is a painful book to read, but I think it's a book that all Zimbabweans must read.
Exactly, so that people are aware of what happens when someone tells you they've been abducted. I was also made to kneel on gravel. You know, initially when they said, when this guy came in with 2 mounds of gravel and spread them where I was, I thought it was going to be a piece of cake.
Kneel on them.
Kneel on them. And I was kneeling while I was being interrogated for a good 2 hours.
On gravel.
I knelt on gravel. You know, the small stones started piercing my knees. And the pain was out of this world. The pain was numbing. I remember thinking that there was this woman. I think somehow something left my body. I don't know how that happened, but I saw myself seeing this woman.
Watching yourself.
Yes, going through this excruciating pain.
So there was the beating under your feet.
Yes.
Kneeling on gravel. What else?
And then just the psychological, where you have to knock on the door to go to the bathroom, and you put on your blindfold. If they are taking you out, you are in blindfold. You don't even know who is around you. You are told to get into a car. You are not sure of who else is in the car. One day they took me on a very long drive. I don't know where they took me. On that particular day, I actually thought
they're going to kill you.
They were going to kill me.
You say, I came out of this experience not a bitter person, but a better person. Help me understand what that means.
The work that I do is related to victims of injustice. Coming out of this, I actually recognized and realized and understood if someone told me they had been abducted and they had been tortured. I know exactly what they are talking about. And when I look at people's eyes, I remember looking at Tawanda Mchehiwa's eyes when he first came out of the abduction. I said to myself, this young man must have gone through a lot because the eyes speak, even without anyone opening their mouth. but I understood better things that happened in the dark. And I think that's where I then also then found my motivation and energy to carry on.
So you were awarded damages, 100,000 US. It's USA, or is it RTGS? And 50,000 for legal costs.
Yes.
What does this mean to you?
For me, I think for principle's sake, because the Constitutional Court had found that the state was guilty through its agents, that needed to be done. But when you look at the amount, that amount was not
It's a
going...
joke.
It's
It's an
joke.
insult.
It is an insult. You can say that again. Yeah. But I think where I was at the time, you also realize that it also came ages after. I think 10 years after. I also was not in the mood to carry on.
Because it brings things back
reviving,
again. Yeah.
opening.
Tell me,
homes.
Jestina, there's been so many other people that have been abducted.
Yes.
This is still going on.
Yes.
What's your sense about this, and what happens to you when you hear the MDC women have been abducted, abducted students have been abducted?
My sense is this has always been the modus operandi of dealing with people with dissenting views, even during colonial times. And it continued during the Mugabe era. But let's not also forget that a lot of the people in the new dispensation were also part of the Mugabe system. Yeah. And I have no reason to doubt when people say they have been abducted and tortured. I would be the last person not to believe them. Because the pain that you go through when you are abducted and tortured, you cannot inflict that on your own. And Trevor, you are aware our police are very good if they want to do stuff. They actually have a very good reputation even in the Southern African region. How can they fail to nail abductors? They are failing to nail them because they are also complicit in it. Otherwise, the issue of us talking about a third hand, a third force, let's look and isolate that third force so that it doesn't continue to do this. And it will then separate you from these ills that have become the mainstay of Zimbabwe since independence.
It is clear to me, Jestina, that this did not break your spirit, point number one. Point number two, it has not silenced you. Am I right that it has actually made you even much more courageous?
I think you're right. What it did initially was to dim my smile. I remember one of my friends, Tino Zewabere, one time after one of my therapies, he said, "I'm so happy, Jestina, you can now smile."
There you're smiling, laughing.
But at the end of the day, I feel I have a role to play because people put their heads on the block for me, locally, regionally, and internationally. And I also have a role to play in terms of ensuring that issues that are related to injustice are brought to light and exposed.
Let's talk about this person called Jestina Mukoko. Where were you born?
I was born
Talk to me about where you were born.
I was born
how you were raised. I want the audience to understand the beautiful soul and the beautiful person that you are.
I was born in Gweru at Mtapa Clinic.
Yeah.
In 1967. It was just a year before my grandmother passed on. And she had been beaten to naming my sister by her daughter. And so when I was born, I'm told that she celebrated and said she was ready to be with the Lord because there was someone she could give her name. My middle name is Mungarewa. And so I inherited all my grandmother's names, Jestina and Mungarewa. And Mungarewa is so fitting in that I was told that my grandmother was saying that it was a name she was given by her parents because people were just talking in the village. And the parents then said, well, munogona kungoreva mungarewa henyu, because we come from Manicaland. But my father moved from Rusape to Gweru, where he was working as in the kitchen. And then he went back, took his mother and stayed with his mother in Gweru. So that's the home that we know. But from grade 3, I moved from Gweru to Bulawayo.
Which school did you go through for grade 3?
I went to Mkhali Primary School.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yes.
Right.
I was now living
in Magwegwe
with my aunt's daughter. And that's where I learnt my Ndebele. This is the Jestina that you know. And that made me then get into ZBC because secondary school I went to Evelyn Girls High School.
Okay, in Bulawayo.
And also in Bulawayo.
Yes.
It was Evelyn Girls High School and then Fletcher where I did my A-levels.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there?
From there, the University of Zimbabwe.
What did you study at the University of Zimbabwe?
I studied politics and administration. Yes.
And then you went, soon after UZ, you went to ZBC?
Soon after UZ, I actually taught in Gweru.
Okay.
I started at St. Patrick's Secondary School and then went to Matinunura High School in Mukoba. But I believe I was not born a teacher. I did not like it.
You did not like it.
And then when I got the opportunity at ZBC, I grabbed it with both hands.
So for years, you were the face of Prime ZBC, even news.
Yes.
Talk to me about the highlights of that part of your life.
Wow. I think when I started, I was on the National Languages Desk, where I would translate news from English to Shona and Ndebele. And I would be on radio and also the 6 o'clock news. But I always dreamt about being an anchor on the flagship bulletin. So I kept on trying to practice doing this. And I was fortunate enough to get a mentor in the late Shingrai Tungwarara. I loved being under his wing. He was a professional journalist. Some of the things that we see happening on the main news now would never see the light of day during Tungwarara's time.
ZBC has produced amazing people. People like you, Wayne Mukwetekwa, and many others. Shingai Mutu, what's his name, by the way?
Shingai
Tungwarara. I mean, all those amazing people. Did you sense the political interference in terms of editorial when you were there? Do you remember any instances?
Yes. I think from about 1999 to 2000, when I eventually broke ranks with ZBC. Like I was saying, that when we started, we were guided by journalistic ethics and also the issue of informing, educating the nation. And then late 1999, 2000, the editorial policy was transformed. I remember it was over the weekend, and news had come through the wire. And the sub-editors would then just edit the news and give it to the readers to read. I remember Epison Chechetere was the one on duty that particular weekend. And this was news that was talking about the killing of the white farmer in Murewa. And he said something came through the wires. They said, yes, we have already edited. He said, can you give me all the copies and the original wire? And when it came back, it was totally different. Wow. We could not believe what we saw and what we were made to read. You then begin to recognize, how can I be part of this? But for me, I think what then made me call it a day, it was actually over a weekend. It was a Saturday. I had been given my bulletin, I had gone through it, and we were towards the elections in June 2000. And there were two stories. There was a story on Morgan Changirai holding a rally in Mutare. And there was a story on museums, National Archives, where the late Dumiso Tabengwa was being interviewed. The Mutare story, which was related to the elections, which I thought needed to have more airplay, because it was meant to inform the citizens and educate them about what was happening around them at that particular time, because we're due to have an election. I think it was less than 30 seconds. And then the National Archives story went on for a good 3 minutes. And I said to the producer, but why? He said, that's instruction that I got. I then said to myself, I think that was my cue to leave.
Do you recognize ZBC when you look at it now?
It's tough. Yeah. Because like I'm saying, some of the things that I hear on the news being made into news items would never have seen the light of day during that time.
When you look back at your life, all that you've endured, what's the biggest lesson that life has taught you?
Your life has taught me that there are changes that will come, but you can learn to live with those changes. I recall in 2013, 2014, I got a fellowship to go to the UK, and I was taken to a place called Northumberland, and we would have a movement around the field, and we came across what they called an elephant tree. When you look at it, it looks like an elephant, and it was all because of a storm that it ended up like that. And I have appreciated that out of the storm, I have become an elephant just like that tree. And I'm learning to live as an elephant so that that does not put my energies down.
Any regrets?
None.
None.
It was a painful experience, but I think it made me grow.
Yeah, it's a painful experience which you went through. For me, listening to you tell it, it breaks my heart. Like I said, it reminds me of just how cruel as human beings
We can be,
we
to,
can
each
be
other.
to each other. And to think that the people that did this to you are walking the streets, they are free. To think that the same people that did this to you could actually be the ones that are responsible for the 13 or 14, even more other abductions that have taken place. That's frightening, that's saddening in many respects. Tell me, Jestina, you are a hero to many young men, young women. Do you have a particular message for the girl child who is struggling to make ends meet? Do you have a message for the young women who are trying to play their role in helping us have a better society in this country, who are facing the oppression, the difficulties, the fear, the intimidation, afraid to speak out? Do you have any message for them?
To the young women who are struggling where ends will not meet, let me say, I grew up in the same situation. I lost my father when I was 5. And my mother looked after us, selling what are called doilies, going to tourist resorts. But the months were never the same. At times I would go to school not knowing what Vaseline is, but just looking on the bright side. So life is there for us, and as young women, young girls, they need to be able to look to the future and also probably prioritize their education. I know it's difficult when I talk about education at the moment, especially in light of COVID-19, where the less privileged girl has no access to classes online, not because of their choice, but the situation that they find themselves in. What I'll say, even if you have to burn the midnight oil reading, you need to get an education. The sun will always come out. And then for the young women who are out there, who are already role models, because there is something that you are doing well, they will come after you. Let them not break your spirit.
Wow.
Allow them to do whatever they do to your body, but do not allow them to break your spirit.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, dawn will come. Yeah.
Help the audience understand, Jestina, your current job, what it entails, and what you do on a day-to-day basis.
It's good that you ask this, because whenever I meet people, they're like, where are you working now? I say, why do you say, where am I working now? I'm still there. Oh, they didn't fire you. I said, no, I did not commit a crime. So I'm still at the Zimbabwe Peace Project.
As executive director.
As the national director.
Yeah.
But there's always been a perception out there that I'm the founding director of ZPP. I am not.
Okay.
There were actually 2, if not 3 directors before me. I only joined the organization in 2007. The organization having been founded in the year 2000. At one time when I was called out to the police, when Augustine Chiwuri made this announcement when he was still Commissioner General of Police to say, Jestina Mukoko is on the run. You know, getting to the police, because Beatrice had insisted, no, you need to be speaking to the board members because they are the owners of the organization. They said, we don't want to hear that. We know the organization is his. So she is the one who is supposed to come and answer. So this organization, I'm really grateful to those who conceived it. So we monitor and document human rights abuses.
Right.
and we name and shame perpetrators, because it's not the right thing to do, not to allow other people to enjoy and exercise their rights. So we operate through a strong network of courageous men and women
throughout the country.
who are throughout the country. And at one time when I was being interrogated, I was asked to write the names of these men and women. I said, I don't know them. Because I was being told that, how do you get the information? Because some things happen at 2 a.m., you get it correct in your reports. And we are also involved in peace building in selected communities. And at the moment, we are running with a campaign as an organization where we are saying Zimbabweans need to resist, reject, and report violations as we head up to the 2023 elections. We have actually launched an app. It's called Spec App, and we are saying to Zimbabweans, if you witness or you go through a violation, report so that we know what is happening in your communities. I'm also the current chairperson of the Zimbabwe Human Rights NGO Forum, which also leads the human rights agenda.
Have you noticed any difference, if any, with the new dispensation in terms of abuse of human rights? And as we run into the elections, what are you picking up as far as violation of people's rights is concerned?
What we are actually picking up is that the human rights violations that we have noted, from the shooting of citizens on the streets of Harare on the 1st of August 2018, they are more brazen, they are more gross as compared to what we saw in the 37 years. So I think something needs to be done if that new dispensation label is to stick.
You're not seeing it
No.
as far as human rights is concerned?
No.
Yeah.
No. I think we have a human rights crisis.
And what you have taught us through your life and through the book and what you've said, reminds me of what Nelson Mandela said, that not forgiving somebody is like drinking poison and hoping that is going to hurt the other guy. Instead, you forgive and it removes the burden of you. Don't keep it inside. And you've done that very well. Jestina, we love books in this show. And delighted that you have written this book, which I'm recommending to all Zimbabweans, Africans on the continent and all over the world. An amazing, painful story, but worth reading. What stories have you, what books rather have you read, Jestina, that you'd want to share with our book loving audience?
I have read Becoming. And I've also read The Purpose Driven Life.
Right.
It actually helped me heal. Where Rick Warren speaks about, do not question why it happened to you.
To me.
He says the Lord could have spared his son, his only begotten son. We saw what he went through, but he did not. What would be so special about Jestina not going through pain?
Yeah.
So those two books
books
stand out for me.
Jestina, your life, as painful as the ordeal was, is so full of instructive lessons. And I just want to say thank you for finding the courage to continue telling the story, and for that smile. I love that smile. Thank you for that smile. The courage to keep on smiling, having endured what you endured. You are a role model to many. We live in a society where people's human rights are trampled upon,
Yeah.
taken for granted. But your story says it's important to stand up and speak out. And hopefully this message gets out to people. So thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so much.
creating the time. I've been chasing you around and finally pinned you down. I'm delighted.
Thank you, Trevor. After the 2 fails, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
No, but finally making it to in conversation with Trevor. I'm so happy.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Allow me, Jestina, to tend to our audience who are in Zimbabwe, on the continent, all over the world, who have made this show the success that it is, to say thank you for watching In Conversation with Jestina Mukoko, and I'm sure that it has inspired you. Remember, we are a weekly show. We are out at 7 a.m. Central African Time every Monday. And to ensure that you don't miss out on any of these quality conversations, I invite you to click on this red button and you get an alert every time we have one of these quality conversations. We've gone a step further and created podcasts for you. Scroll under this video, click onto the podcast for your listening pleasure. Until next time, cheers to you all.